Hello, everyone. So I've been doing a few videos lately about dreams, and these are dreams that I've been having recently. But there is one dream that's stayed in my mind. And this dream, I'm thinking back, it was roughly around 7 years ago. It may even have been longer when I had this dream. But it seems kind of connected to what might be going on in our reality. I'm not saying it's literal, but there's metaphoric truth in there somewhere. So I'd like to talk about it. I have taken no notes because I've just remembered vividly this dream all these years. So short video, won't take me long to explain this, but I think you'll see what I mean when I talk about it as to how it could be connected to something going on in our reality and the agenda of the overlords in the fictional novel that I'm writing, basically. So in my dream, everyone, the government had announced, another government announcement, the government had announced that everyone could have a free electric car. They had to qualify by being registered at an address and all of those things, and you prove who you are. But once you could prove who you are and that you're registered at a certain address, and this was the UK in my dream. Now, whether the dream was supposed to mean global, but it was the United Kingdom in my dream where I live. Everyone was told they could have a free electric car. But the conditions were, other than proving who you were and proving that you were at the address you say you're at, the other conditions were that you give up your current car. You give up your petrol car or your diesel car or your van or whatever it is you had. And all of these cars looked the same. They were quite small. They were sort of van style shape, somewhat like a postman pat van style, possibly. They were all white and they had writing down the side. I don't know what the writing said, but I think it was blue writing, blue and yellow, possibly. Like I said, it was about 7 years ago. It was a white van style car, not quite postman pat van shaped, but similar. And the blue writing, I don't remember what it said, but it basically was saying that this is a government free car, basically. Obviously, in real life, there are loads and loads of people who are not going to give up their current vehicle and swap it for a government white van style car with blue and yellow writing down the side. There are people out there with Ferraris and Rolls Royces and Mercedes, and they're not going to give up their cars. However, in this dream, and this is why I think there's metaphor here, I am not saying this is literal. In this dream, everybody gave up their cars. They all just gave up their cars and took this free electric car. They were really happy to do so. And it was almost as though the free electric car was a gift to help them with something. So there was some situation going on, and the electric car was the solution to the issue. Bearing in mind that this is a dream and it's all related to the fictional novel that I'm writing. So it's all dream and fiction, nothing going on in real life. So I wonder if maybe, and this is me just surmising, I wonder if maybe in the dream, you couldn't use a gas-powered, petrol-powered or diesel-powered vehicle, that you had to have electric. And the only way you could get electric is by getting a government one. Obviously, this is 7 years. It may even have been longer. This could have been 8, 9 years ago. I've never forgotten this dream. Obviously, now electric cars are really, really available. You don't have to just get a free one from the government. You can buy them anywhere. But in this dream, everybody gave up their car willingly and took this free car. And I remember thinking, I don't want to do this. I don't want to give up my car. Now, I had a petrol vehicle, And actually in the dream, I had the same vehicle I've got now, and I've had that for 8 years. So this dream is no longer than 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, because I had the same car I've got now. I did not want to give my car up. So obviously you could drive a petrol car, because my car is a petrol car. Okay, so that's that theory out the window. Anyway, I didn't want to give up my car. And this was the kind of main metaphor of the dream. So I'm driving around in my normal kind of old car. My car is, you know, not a new car, it's an old car. And you've probably heard me talk before on videos about me being EMF sensitive, especially with cars. In fact, more with cars than anything, more with vehicles than anything. Computers and smartphones. Yes, I can sense EMFs, especially from the new smartphones, but very much from vehicles and cars the minute I get inside them, especially if I'm driving. It doesn't seem to affect me as much as a passenger as it does as a driver. So I do have an older car, and I love my car, and I'm not prepared to give it up. Also, I don't know if I've ever been in an electric vehicle. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have, or a hybrid. But because I am so sensitive to new cars, just normal petrol cars, I can't drive them if they're new. I know that an electric vehicle would be even worse for me. In a dream or in a fictional novel, I think it would be even worse for me. So there's no way I even want to get in one, let alone have a free one from the government. So I'm driving around in my normal old car, and people think I'm crazy. And they're looking at me like, why? Why would you want to keep your old car when the government are giving away these amazing cars for free? And it was almost as though they didn't have to pay for anything. So whether the electric charging was free, the car was free, the maintenance was free, it was like the whole thing was given free, whereas I was sort of stuck with an old car that couldn't do what their car did, and I had to still pay for my car. So I was still in the old way, and they'd gone into the new way, which was all like, yay, this is amazing. So this is a dream I had 7, 8 years ago. I may have mentioned this dream before at some point. I'm not sure, but as I was talking a lot about dreams lately and sharing them with you, I thought, you know what, I'm going to tell you about this dream. So what do I think? Well, I think, yes, it's mostly metaphor. Could there be free cars given away? I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily see that, possibly. I guess that could be on the cards in a timeline. It doesn't seem to be in a probable trajectory, but who knows? No, I think this is metaphor, and I think what this is metaphor for is the government giving you something that you are going to be able to utilize to do what you need to do, but you can't do it in your old thing, whether it's a car or a house or a structure or a business or whatever it is. I think this is metaphor for the old Earth, which looks new because it's got all this new stuff in it, and the new Earth, which looks old-fashioned, the Robin Hood society. I think that's what this dream is a metaphor for. But who knows? There could be more truth there than I'm seeing, and maybe if and I won't say government because that's not really the right word, although that was who it was in the dream. The structure, the control structure, like the overlords in the novel, if they want something to be given, I think the best way that they will do that, and that they could do that, is to make it very, very desirable. And whether they would give it away for free, who knows? They might do, I guess. But that was the dream. So as I said, short video. I would love your comments as to what you think that dream might be. I mean, do you think that this is more literal than I am thinking? Because recently I discussed a dream I had. I was talking to Rayania Cheyenne in an interview, and I talked about seeing this place where I was, with rubble everywhere, collapsed buildings, just stone and brickwork all over the road and all over the pathway. And I reiterated in this interview, this dream would have been November, December last year, 2022. And I said, this is metaphor. I'm not saying it's literal. Well, of course, if you look at what's occurred in the last few weeks, it is actually literal, not here in the UK, but it is literal somewhere in the world where there are collapsed buildings and rubble. So when I watched that interview back, I thought, gosh, I'm sat there saying this is metaphor, but it actually did happen. So it is difficult to say whether a dream is metaphor for something, or whether there's a literal component to it, or whether it's entirely literal. Do I think the government are going to give away free electric cars? Probably not. But like I said, I thought that last dream was all metaphor, but it did actually turn out to be literal, not across the world, but in some places. So yes, I'd love your opinion and your thoughts. The recent dream where I talk about the little AI boy, I've been inundated with comments and emails about that dream, and with some fabulous insights. So I hope to be able to share those with you in a further dream. I have since had another AI dream, which was last night, completely different to the AI boy. And I am speaking to the 9 now, because obviously 2 dreams about this. I'm asking them some questions at the moment about this subject. So I will be bringing that forward at some point. But yes, this video was just to tell you about this dream where there were free electric cars. I did not give up my car. I'm driving around in my old banger, which I love. And no one could understand. And that was the main thing of the dream, this incredulous, what? You're mad, you're crazy. Why didn't you take the government up on their offer? I mean, could this have been a metaphor for, you know, the juicy? Well, absolutely. It was 7-8 years ago. So it could have been a metaphor literally for that. Obviously, I wasn't the only one driving around in my old car. There were many people who didn't want to take the government's new car. So yes, we could be looking at metaphor. And usually when something comes in a symbolic presentation, like dream imagery, visionary imagery, flame letter work that I've talked about, metaphors coming forward, they are multi-layered. They represent many things. The 9 call this a convergence. So this particular dream about the electric cars could have a literal component, could be literal, with multiple metaphor in there in between. And I think that's important to be aware of when you're looking at anything, that you wonder whether, could this be metaphor or literal? Like, for example, the Bible. The Bible is absolutely chock full of metaphor, but is there a literal component there as well? Well, I would say yes, there is also, with some things within the presentation. And I think with any accurate, aligned, high vibrational channeling, it's going to be peppered with metaphor and literal as well. So that can be very confusing, especially when a channel presents their metaphors as literal, and when a channel presents their potentially literal play out as a metaphor, like I did in the last in the interview that I did. So I'm going to be more cautious now and not say this is metaphor, this is literal. I hope I haven't ever really been too firm on that, but I was convinced that the rubble and the collapsing of the buildings that I was in that dream, I was convinced that that was metaphor. But it is metaphor. It's metaphor for the collapse of structures and systems, but obviously it was literal as well. It had a literal component which I wasn't aware of. So I'm going to be more cautious about that. The other dream intel that I had back in summer of 2021 about the Dookie. So if you've seen that video, you'll know what I'm talking about. UREGENT Dream Intel. If you want to find it, it's on my channel. I truly felt when I was in that dream that I was experiencing a potential reality. And when I woke, I truly felt that I was experiencing a potential reality. So whilst I won't say definitely that that's a potential, I'm going to say that it's high probability that that's a potential reality. And that's the whole sort of, you know, hoax side of the dookie. And we're kind of leaning towards that, and have been for a while. I'm pretty sure this was summer of 2021. It may even have been before that, but anyway, that's up on my channel, so you'll be able to see when that was released and when I actually had that dream, because I made the video immediately of the next morning after having that dream. Yeah, we're sort of steering towards that potentially as well. So I would lean towards that being literal. So I hope this helps with people who are having dreams, waking up and thinking, wow, is this metaphor or is this literal? Because I think it's very easy to, especially with a disaster type scenario dream, it's very easy to wake up and think this is going to happen for real. And you need to stop and step back and think, okay, this is my dream. This is the presentation. Where am I feeling this may go? And try to analyze if it's metaphor or dream intel, as in precognitive and clairvoyant, and obviously communicate with your guides. And again, they don't always tell you. You're here to work these things out. So I think the electric car dream is metaphor with some literal truth. And the reason why electric car was used in the dream as the main symbol is because there is something going on regarding cars on the road, vehicles, and the potential as to whether you will be able to actually continue to drive a car the way that you have, or whether something will change and you have to do certain things before you can actually drive a vehicle. Or could it be that you can only drive vehicles that have been agreed upon by the system in the novel? Now, should that come into a reality, and yes, that is part of our future trajectory as an agenda, within that other bifurcation, the Robin Hood Society, there are other things occurring, as in the laws that are presented within the system world, the bifurcation side that is the technology, bells and whistles, world of the order that is new timeline. The laws and legalities within that line in the fictional novel are not necessarily applicable to those in the Robin Hood Society New Earth timeline. It's not that the laws aren't applicable, it's that those laws are being challenged by a different legal system within the novel. So in this reality, if they say you can't do this, in this reality, you could still be doing it because it's being challenged, and that is all part of this bifurcation. So yes, there could be a car vehicle thing in our trajectory, and it was funny how the vehicle was an electric vehicle and they were all uniform and looked the same, and I wanted to keep my current old banger. So yeah, that was 7-8 years ago that I dreamt that, and I think it's significant to talk about now. So that's why I'm bringing this forward in a video. So thank you so much for listening, and I will be back with more videos. Bye.